Just as a quick disclaimer, you might hear some meowing throughout the video. That's this little guy. He's being a little bit of a gremlin today. So he's just being, wants to be a part of the video. This is Rio. So say hi. Meow. Hey friends, it's Goober Troy here. The Machinist has been out for about 2 weeks now as of the time recording this video, and the class is a ton of fun getting to express your inner Iron Man. I do, however, think people are sleeping on the alternative build, the Arthentine Skill build. This build plays pretty similar to your Perfect Suppression Shadow Hunter, which is already a pretty uncommon spec, and it's still a ton of fun to play. But the reason I'm putting together this video is because I'm a little worried people will try out the Machinist and they'll just kind of gravitate towards the transformation build, the Evolutionary Legacy, and they might find it a little stale because, well, let's be honest, if you're playing a transformation class, the build, the rotation is it's just kind of stale. You just try to get into your transformation as quickly as possible, and then there's not really a lot of thought that goes into your button presses. It's just kind of face roll. So anyhow, I wanted to put together this video to showcase some alternate builds that I think are a ton of fun, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it if they actually give it a chance. All right, so the first build that we want to look at here is the Evolutionary Legacy, the transformation build. For our engravings, we have, for just testing purposes, I mean, we're not even really testing, I just want to kind of showcase how the build plays. But we're using a 5x3, which I think this is the pretty standard one. You have Evolutionary Legacy, Barricade, Grudge, Keen Blunt Weapon, and Raid Captain. I actually think Keen Blunt could get replaced with like something like Cursed Doll. But this is, I think, a pretty standard option. As for the skills, we only use 2 of our gun skills, which is Mobile Shot. This is just for mobility. And then Avalanche is our counter. We have a lot of drone skills, though. These are primarily for gaining meter. We'll take Command Flare Beam, Baby Drones, and Raid Missiles. And then lastly, we take all 3 of our joint skills, which uses both the gun and the drone for various things. Annihilation mode is Annihilation mode and Energy Buster deal the most damage out of the non-transformation skills, but they're still used primarily to generate that specialty meter. Fiery Escape is almost exclusively used as mobility and survivability. You get a pretty decent chunk of shield when you activate the skill, so you could just tap it to survive a hit or something like that. For gems, because again it's a transformation class, you only really need two gems. You need your Sync Skill cooldown and Sync Skill damage. And then for our stats, we're running with, oh my bad, that's supposed to be 1600 spec. And then we'll just do like 40 swiftness or something. And that's basically the build. For all of the drone skills, I threw on wealth just to kind of build that meter quicker. So yeah, let's just kind of jump into the rotation a little bit here. All right, so again, I'm not really doing any kind of DPS test. This is just entirely for playstyle comparisons because, well, numbers can always be tweaked, but playstyle most likely will stay pretty consistent. So starting off, again, we're doing the Evolutionary Legacy. So this is our transformation. And when you have your max energy, you simply transform. And then your rotation basically becomes using Comet Strike or your dash. And then following it up with either your Laser Blade or your Echelon Beam. I guess you can kind of also use Slug Shot. But basically you Comet Shot and then use one of these 2 and then fill with the other 3. So... let me get back into the transformation here. There we go. So you just need to use your 3 drone skills to get back into transformation mode. So again, I'll transform, and I'll Comet Strike, Laser Beam, fill with my W and S, for example, Q, R, W, A, and then, it's just kind of juggling through this rotation here. You almost always have a skill off cooldown, which you know, it makes it feel good to kind of just press your buttons and stuff like that. So there's, like I said though, like there's not really any thought that goes into it. Um, it's just kind of doing that same rotation of QE, QR, something like that. It's just, I don't know. It just, to me, it just feels pretty bland. And because you get so much spec and you're spending so much time in this form, you you just generate meters so quickly. So there's not really any time spent outside of your transformation doing, I don't know, something that I think is more interesting. Okay, next we're going to look at the Arthentine Skill build, and for this it is a crit swiftness build. And for the skills, it's still fairly similar to what we had in the Evolutionary Legacy. The difference is that instead of taking something like um, your core energy supply to increase how much of your specialty bar that you gain whenever you use these skills, you're just taking straight damage with these. So instead of something like the core energy supply, we're taking Flame Baby so that it deals increased damage. The only other two additions here is instead of Command Flare Beam, we're taking Command Carpet, and then instead of Fiery Escape, we're taking Overcharge Battery, which is our synergy skill, which gives 6% damage to the party. And then for the gems, you basically take damage and cooldown for every single one of your drone skills and your joint skills. And then you just take cooldown for your interrupt, which is avalanche. For the engravings, we will use the class engraving, Arthentine Skill. I've been saying it Arthentinian Skill this whole time, so I'm dumb. But then the other three main engravings are Grudge, Keen Blunt, and Raid Captain. And then lastly, for your fifth engraving, you would either take Adrenaline or you could take Increased Mass. If I'm taking Increased Mass, I like to take a little bit more Swiftness, not too much more, because we already get a lot of attack speed from our mobile shot. So that kind of helps mitigate. What's up, buddy? Mobile shot helps mitigate the negatives of increased mass. So the reason why I think that Arthentine Skill is a lot more interesting to play is you actually have to think about your skills and manage and juggle buffs and stuff like that. So we're using Raid Captain, and mobile shot gives us a movement speed, which I would kind of play into that. So you essentially want to start off kind of your rotation by using mobile shot and then go into whatever other skill it is that you want to be using at that time. So that would be one combo. But then in my opinion, the best part about this build is just commanding the drone to actually like do stuff. Like to maximize your damage, you have to be smart with your drone usage. And you can do various things such as maybe I'll come over here and carpet bomb and drop the bombs and then immediately recall it into a baby drones. Stuff like that feels a little bit more interesting and like it has some more min-max value. So for that whole combo to fit like 3 drone skills, it might look something like roll into missiles, into grenade, carpet bomb, and so on and so forth. So that whole combo was roll, missiles, grenade, avalanche into carpet bomb, recall, baby drones, which is a lot. But I guess that's what I find fun about this build, is because you kind of had to I might insult some people by saying this, but you actually have to think while you're trying to do your rotation. The other thing that's really nice about this build is because most of your damage is coming from the drone, you have some pretty insane uptime. Like you can be like over here doing like mechanics or something while also dropping bombs. There's a lot that this build feels like it can kind of do. The maintenance is going to be a little challenging. It's going to be something that has a little bit of a steeper learning curve. But I think once people get the hang of it, this build, just people will just get more invested into it, in my opinion. This is just why I think the class is insanely fun. I have invested so much into this class now at this point when I didn't even think I was going to play it at all. I went into making this class expecting to play Iron Man. Um, I I made my machinist, went into the training mode, tried out the Evolutionary Legacy. Um, Kind of realized the playstyle's not for me. It kind of got stale, and then I just tried out the Arthentine Skill, and the drone management is what really appeals to me. So, in short, I just really hope that you guys, if you are going to play a machinist, just don't sleep on Arthentine Skill. It is a lot of fun. It's a little bit more expensive to play because you have to have more gems, a lot more tripods, but because it actually scales with tripods and extra gems and stuff like that, I think that means it's just going to have a better scaling than Evolutionary Legacy. So if that's something you care about, um, give it a shot. And then on a final note, if you want to see a guide around Arthentine Skill and maybe even Evolutionary Legacy, like a full-blown guide, I know I kind of went over some of these details here, but let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to put one together, because again, I think that this build is going to be underrepresented, and I, wanted to showcase more of it. But again, this was Goober Troy saying thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.